My name is John Wilebski, and I'm a seminarian for the Diocese of Crookston. This is my vocation story. I grew up in a normal Catholic household. My family went to Mass every weekend, but we weren't super involved in the parish or anything like that, so we were kind of your typical Catholic family. We prayed before bed and those kinds of things and did some devotions. When I was in high school, I attended a Steubenville Youth Conference, and that was the first time where I really was able to encounter the Lord in a very real way through adoration. And so when I was in adoration at the conference, I felt the Lord speak to me in a very real way, and in my heart I heard him tell me, "John, I love you and I have great plans in store for you." And at the time I didn't know what that meant, but I knew it was something special. The Lord was speaking to me in this particular way, but it didn't really change anything in my heart at that moment. And so I went back to my life as normal, went to high school and just did normal, typical high school things, not being super involved in my faith, but still having that in the back of my mind that the Lord had spoken to me in a very real way. When I graduated from high school, I attended a local community college and spent 2 years there. And while I was there, I was really kind of in the back of my mind discerning whether or not I should be going to seminary. So when I was at community college, I dated a little bit and tried going down that path, but that wasn't necessarily where the Lord was calling me to be at that time. And so the relationships never really worked out the way they wanted to. When I was finishing up at community college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. The priesthood was still in my mind, but there was a big fear of seminary and the priesthood still. And so I kept avoiding it and pushing it away and kept telling the Lord to wait and wanted to discern on my own time this call that I was feeling. And so when I was graduating from Northland, the community college I was attending, it was time for me to decide what the next step was going to be. And so I had decided I wanted to major in elementary education. It's my dad is in education. Education runs in the family. I wanted to pursue that. So when I went to Bemidji State to register for classes, I had a terrible experience, and it wasn't anything to do with the school in particular. It was just that there was a lack of peace in my heart. And so the entire drive home, I knew it wasn't right for me to go there. And I cried the entire 2-hour drive home and had this conversation with the Lord. And so finally I told the Lord, I'm recognizing this fact you want me to go to seminary, but I'm still not ready yet. So let me find peace somewhere else first, and then I'll go to seminary. And so I tried bargaining with the Lord. So I got home, and my parents had asked me how the visit had gone, and I said it wasn't the right place for me. And so then I had to figure out where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. And my brother was graduating from high school at the time, and he was going to attend the University of North Dakota. And so I thought that was a good plan as well. So I decided to attend the University of North Dakota, still for elementary education. That was something that I wanted to pursue while I was there. And so while I was at the University of North Dakota, I got involved with the Newman Center while I was there. And the Newman Center was just a couple blocks from where my dorm was. And so while I was there, I started praying a holy hour, going to adoration, getting involved in Bible studies, and taking part in kind of this intentional community centered around Christ. There was one time in particular that came to mind of when I got invited to their men's discernment house. And while I was there, I had a really fun time, and I didn't know why. We were playing board games, we were just hanging out as a bunch of guys, something I had never really experienced before. So while I was walking back to my dorm, I asked the question, why did I have such a good time? And it was because it was Christ-centered relationships that all these guys had. So while I was at the Newman Center and at the University of North Dakota, this desire of priesthood kept coming onto my heart, even stronger and stronger. And so while I was there, I was attending spiritual direction and trying to figure all this out. And in January of that year, I attended Seek, which is a conference put on by Focus. And when I was at the conference, I was walking down this hallway where they had a bunch of vocation booths set up, and I encountered this one priest there, and he asked me what my story was. And so I gave him my story, and he said, "Here, I think you should read this book." And the book was titled "To Save 1,000 Souls." And so when I got back to UND, to the Newman Center, I started reading that during my holy hours, and something about that book really struck a chord with my heart. And there was a lot of affirming things in that book that drew me even closer and closer to the priesthood. And so I was sharing that in spiritual direction. Spiritual direction was such a huge part of my discernment, especially in college, as I was looking to see what I wanted to do. And so there was one day when I was in the Newman Center and my spiritual director said, "Hey John, I want to see you in my office for a second." So he pulled me into his office and he said, "John, what do you think if I told you you should go to seminary next year?" And I kind of freaked out a little bit inside. I didn't know what to expect. There was a lot of things running through my mind. I didn't want to leave the school I was at. Things were relatively going well in my life. But he said, "When you pray your holy hour today, ask the Lord what he wants of you." And so I knew what the answer was going to be already, because this constant tug was on my heart about going to seminary. And so I avoided praying my holy hour for the rest of the day. But finally, when I did sit down to pray my holy hour in the chapel, I finally gave myself over to the Lord, and I said, "Lord, if this is something you want, I will do it. I'm tired of running. I'm tired of this lack of peace. I really just want to do your will, so let your will be done." And at that moment, I felt a lot of peace run over my heart, this peace that I had never experienced really before in my life, except for the time when I was at adoration and had that first real God experience. And so I knew at that moment that it was time for me to go to seminary, and seminary would be the right thing for me to do. And so I began the application process for seminary and entered seminary the next fall. And so now that I've been in seminary, it has been the best years of my life. I've made many beautiful friendships. I've grown in relationship with the Lord in ways I never expected. I've grown as a man, as a disciple of Christ. And so as I continue this journey towards priesthood, the Lord calls me deeper and deeper every day into relationship with him. And there's nothing better I could ask for in the world.